is ready. Ready on the right, ready on the left.
Hey everybody, welcome to Saved Rounds. We have a guest today, Shawn Coleman. He is one of our board members here at The Anchor, and we're just going to do a little interview with him. So as always, there are questions that you can send in, but as we do these interviews, we can't do the questions. We'll save them for the next ones. And yes, you've been noticing there has been a few interviews, which are important. I think it's good. But as it always says, ready on the right, ready on the left. A question is, are you ready for the Lord's return? Are you ready for what the Lord has? So, Shawn, thank you for being on the podcast.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
And
it's a blessing.
Let's talk about some things here. So, first, how long have you been at The Anchor?
That's debatable. It depends on the time frame. So I would say probably about 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah, because I remember when I was coming in, it was just on Fridays just to kind of hang out, because I was, of course, with another ministry at the time. So, okay. Yeah, about 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah.
And then how long would you say you've been on staff?
About 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
About 2 years.
And now you're a board member, and you became a board member on 2025.
Yes.
I almost want to say 2024, but
right, no, right.
2026.
But it seems like we were functioning as possible,
Yeah. There was all kinds of stuff going on, which we'll get into that.
Yeah.
All right. So the first thing I like to ask everybody who comes on the show is, how did you come to know Jesus? What's the story of how you came to follow Jesus? So your testimony.
How long is this? Yeah, okay, never mind. Don't worry.
You do have to get back to work.
Well, technically, I'm always at work.
That's true.
Right. I'm never off. That's a blessing of being the owner of your own company. So you're always on work. Always at work.
Truth.
So basically, I'm one of those brothers that was raised in the church.
Okay.
Right. And I don't know if you remember or recall first time me and you met. You don't. Okay.
No, I don't. Jog my memory.
You don't. Yeah, don't. It's okay. So basically, when I was at the other church at the men's group,
mm-hmm.
and we was out there in the hub, and you were like just sitting like you're doing, just chilling, trying to be incognito, right? I'll be nice, Joseph. And what ended up happening is we were doing a little round table of who we are and how we knew Christ, and let me see if you remember what I told you. I said, well, because I was like, who's this guy right here? Just shows up out of nowhere. And I'm like, well, I'm one of those China cabinet dish Christians.
China cabinet dish Christians. You are?
That's what I introduced myself as.
China cabinet dish Christian.
What does that mean?
Only brought out on Sunday for Sunday's best.
There it is. Or just on display.
Or just on display.
Right? Just on display, never used. That's what happened when you grow up in a lot of churches. You understand the culture of being a Christian. You understand the lingo of being a Christian. You wear your Sunday's best. You have, you go to church on Wednesdays. You go to church on Mondays. You go to church on Fridays. Right? That's how it was back in my day in the 70s.
Okay.
I'm aging myself, but I don't care.
70s.
Right? And so I learned a lot of stuff about Christ, learned a lot of stuff about, Noah and in the Bible and whatnot. But it was just knowledge. It had no depth, right? Because I was in the culture of being a Christian, right? Preacher kids have it. People who go on mission kids have it as well. They know the lingo, they know the stories and whatnot. But there's no relationship. You know what I mean? There's no relationship. And so ultimately, as I got older, I started to establish some things. But just to go back there, when I was when my mother was raising us with my father, unfortunately, my father put hands on my mom, and so my mom had to hide in the military.
Because your mom served.
Yes. So she was actually an officer in the Army, and of course she did boot camp, and we had a good time on base, and I was an Army brat.
Okay.
So I was Army brat, Then eventually I was raised in the church, so I had all those things going. So I learned the culture of being in the army, learned the culture of being in church, and how they intertwined with each other. It was interesting. But I think overall the big thing for me was not understanding what it meant to be a Christian. All right, because you do all the kid stuff. We had Easter at church. Like what? Who does it? No, we had Easter on base. Let me rephrase that. We had Easter on base, right? And so I had no understanding. Why are we having Easter bunny? That makes no sense to me. The bunny and the egg makes no sense, right? But when it came down to knowing Christ, I didn't know Christ as a child. I did not. I can say that for a fact. I actually didn't start to have a relationship with Christ until after I got out the military. So being raised in church was different. And then, of course, when my mother got in the military, because she had to hide in the military from my dad, we ended up overseas, right? In Italy, Germany, all throughout the United States, all the installations out here. Ended up in Texas, which I had a nice, beautiful encounter with the Lord at the time.
How many years did your mom serve in the military? A whole career? 20?
No. She did maybe about 12.
12 years?
Yeah, maybe about 12. Yeah, she hit in the military about 12 years. Yeah, so my first encounter with Christ was at my grandparents' house. At my grandparents' house, I actually had we just went to church, and I fell asleep on the couch, and the Lord embraced me. And all I could do was just spend time with him at 5 years old. And I was like, whoa, what is this? This is new. This is a real encounter. And I think that encounter propelled me to the next level where I was going to go, because when my mother was in Texas on base in El Paso, I think I told you this before, where I actually had I drowned.
That's correct.
Right? I drowned. I actually drowned and the funny story is I'm sitting on the pool deck, actually in a chair on the pool deck. My mom says, "Shawn, don't go nowhere. I'm going to go in the house real quick and I'll be right back." And now keep in mind, there was a whole bunch of people around the pool. So it's not like it was just me and my mom. It was like a whole bunch of people. So what ends up happening is I'm thinking about 8 years old at the time. And she goes in the house, and I get off the chair and I start to walk towards the pool. It's like, man, I want to be a shark. Because, that's what you do when you're a kid. I want to be a shark. I want to be a soldier. I want to be a policeman. I want to be Superman. So I'm going to jump off the building with a towel on my back. I did that. But the big thing is that I jumped in the pool, and I'm looking at the water like, oh, I'm a fish. And next thing you know, I'm out of the body. I'm in the presence of the Lord again. And what ends up happening is I can see my mother in the house while I'm outside my body. And she's grabbing some things. The phone rings. She doesn't pick it up. Says, "No, I need to get back outside." So she was diligent about what she was doing. And so what ends up happening, she comes outside. She looks for me on the chair. She couldn't find me. And next thing you know, she goes, "Oh my gosh, he's right there floating on in the pool." Everyone in the pool doesn't pay attention that I'm floating in the pool. So my mom grabs me, resuscitates me, go back into the body. That at that time I had that same feeling of peace, comfort, love that I had at the time when I was a little bit younger, about 3 years earlier, on the couch. So that encounter helped me understand that there is a God, but who is he? Right? Is it the God that I learned about when I was in church, going to Bible studies and Sunday school and falling asleep in the pews and whatnot? And I didn't know who he was. I knew I had knowledge, right? Knowledge is not wisdom, right? Knowledge is not wisdom. So what ended up happening is I started to look for God, and okay, well, let me look for him in the Black National thing, which was of course the Panthers, Black Panthers, then the Nation of Islam, then of course not really Buddha, because I'm like, no, I ain't going that route because I know that ain't real. Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons, to figure out who is God. Is Jesus the God they were referring to? Because everyone's referring to Jesus except for maybe Buddha and the Hindu people, right? They all looked at him as a messenger or an agent of God, but not God himself.
Mhm.
So of course, it wasn't that I was questioning my religion. I was questioning my walk and who is God, right? And how can I find him? Because apparently he's had his hand on me a couple of times in a couple of different ways. And so my thing is, okay, how do I find the one true God? And I actually found him by deducting, subtracting who he's not. He's not Isa in the Muslim religion,
Mhm.
right? Because he's just a messenger. He's just a prophet. He's definitely not the Mormon Jesus. Why? Because the Mormon Jesus apparently is the brother of Lucifer.
Mhm.
And not only that, but I also had a problem with their religion as far as how they looked at black people, right? As a culture of people, right? You know, and there's a whole different study on that. Catholicism was a little bit different, but he was always a baby.
Right. Or he was always on the cross.
He was always on the cross. I was like, wait, last time I checked, that brother was off the cross, not just off the cross, but also out of the tomb. So, which is the most important part. And then of course I looked at the Watchtower. The Watchtower is like what?
The Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yes, 100%.
AKA the J-Dubs.
J-Dubs.
J-Dub.
Crazy. Anyway, so I looked at that and it was like, well, no, that ain't true, because the definite article that he was God or a God, there's a difference between the two.
Yeah.
And so then I'd say, okay, wait a minute. So I see that the roots that I was raised in as a Baptist young man were true, right? Now, people may not be true, right? Because everyone has problems.
Mm-hmm.
But the Lord that I serve is true. So I had to be able to differentiate between the two, between the people and the Lord that I serve.
Right.
Right. And ultimately, as you start to actually examine yourself, the only way you examine yourself is have a true encounter with Christ, a true encounter with God. That's the only way you examine yourself. You find out exactly who you are, right? Isaiah did the same thing. He didn't know who he was until he actually met the Father in heaven. Well, the angel in heaven, it says, well, why are you sending me? I'm a filthy man,
mm-hmm.
right? And I think for me, a lot of times I grew up in the era of self-esteem. Right? Got to have self-esteem. Don't ruin his self-esteem. Don't ruin her self-esteem.
Yeah.
You know, now we live in a day where everyone has a mic. Right, Joseph? Everyone has a mic. It's like, and what?
Everyone has a mic.
Yeah, everyone has a mic. Right. And so, but it's the same thing. It's no different.
No.
It's no different. So, but when you have a true encounter with God, you actually start to examine yourself and say, wait a minute, who am I? I'm nobody. And so at 19 years old, after I got out the military, you know, me and my first wife, you know, because I was married before. Because of course, when you're 18 years old and your girlfriend's with you and she's crying, say, hey, look, you're going to go overseas and you're going to meet you a nice little German girl. I'm like, I probably am. And you'll never see me again. I probably won't. Right? That was my attitude as a kid at 18 years old, going to the Army. Right? And it's a while. It's okay. But that's how I had that attitude. You know, I grew up in an era where you chase the digits, right? What are the digits? Remember that?
No.
Probably not. Okay, never mind. All right, so
I'm still stuck on the little German girl.
Oh, no, yeah.
What happened to Shawn? He's into strudel.
Yes. Beef stroganoff was a bomb. Anyways, so the big thing was
Okay.
instead of saying, hey, wait, I love you, I'll marry you when I get back. I didn't do that. What I ended up doing is marrying her. Said, okay, we can go overseas together because, you know, whatever else. But I didn't know the rules at the time of how you're able to get your spouse to overseas. So anyway, while I'm in boot camp, what ends up happening is I get a call from the Red Cross at 19 years old. I get a call.
What year is this?
89.
So you joined the army in 89.
Actually, I did a delayed entry.
Okay.
So I actually signed my paperwork in December of 88.
December of 88
Mm-hmm.
to go to boot camp in
August
of 89.
1st of 89.
Okay.
Correct. August 1st, 89. And so what ended up happening is I'm in boot. You know, I'm rising in the ranks. I'm squad leader. I'm about to go try to get platoon leader or whatever. And I get a call from the Red Cross. And the Red Cross says, hey, I need you, your mother-in-law's on the phone. I'm like, wait, first off, how's my mother-in-law know that we're married? Because we were going to get married when I got back from boot.
Mhm.
for the whole ceremony, for both families come together, we're getting married, have this morning there. And then they call me and says, look, your mother's on the phone and she needs to talk to you. I was like, wait, this is uncommon because I don't get calls from my mother-in-law.
Okay.
And so they tell me, hey, Shawn, we have some bad news. Like, what do you mean bad news? Your wife, I won't use her name, but your wife, she tried to commit suicide. And I was like, wait, what? What does that mean? Well, and they told me the story. I was like, oh my goodness. And dude, I'm bawling. I am bawling. And so what ends up happening, I mean, I can't breathe, bawling, like, Lord help me, again, not knowing who Christ is, because I'm still 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, what ends up happening is I get the option to go back home to get her out of the hospital situation and come back. So that's what the plan was. The plan was to get her out of the hospital, make sure she's good, and go back within 2 weeks. Because if I ever returned after 2 weeks, I got recycled.
Right.
Right. And I was like, yo. And I was like, hey, look, you good? Okay. It's been a week. You good? Yeah, I'm good. And then she wasn't good. And then I said, okay, well, I need to stay. And so went back, said, okay, well, unfortunately, you can be recycled or you can get a hardship discharge. So I ended up getting a hardship discharge. And so what ended up happening is I get off the plane, and a week later we get in a car accident. Get hit from behind. Right? Not I was fine because I was in shape. Former football player. I'm in the Army. I'm just jacked. Right? Really jacked. It was pretty cool. But what ends up happening is we find out that she was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in between the time I was home, and find out she's pregnant, and they says, well, the baby probably won't be born with the certain organs, So she wanted to have a medical procedure. I was like, we're just giving up the baby, and I wasn't with that, but she did it anyway, and I was kind of livid. And so what ended up happening is she filed for divorce. But let me backtrack. Real quick. Go this way, backtrack.
So at this point, she went and got an abortion without you knowing and filed for divorce same time while you're home trying to figure this stuff out.
Correct.
Okay.
But let me backtrack just a little bit. So what ended up happening was right after the abortion, we go to church. And again, I'm at the point where I'm done with trying to figure out life for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I says, okay, Lord. And we're at church. I forget the name of the church. It's in Compton. Shout out to Compton. And the Lord touches me again, says, listen, thank you. I'm here for you. I've always been here for you. And I walked down. To surrender my life. I get to the front of the stage and had another encounter. And so I have that encounter. I come back to my seat where my wife is. And I heard the most devastating thing ever. You didn't have to do that for me. And I turned to her and says, listen, that wasn't for you. That had nothing to do with you. It had everything to do with the God that's been with me since I was born. And to this day, after that happened, then that she divorced me. Because it's about the personal relationship that I understood and that I wanted. And so and it's something today that I still need, because God meets us where we're at. It lets us do what we think we're going to do, what's best for us.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like, he's like, no, I don't have that for you. So funny, because after that happened in 89, because I got home in September, we were divorced maybe 2 months later. She filed. She said I filed, but I never filed. Right. And so what ended up happening is first Gulf War happened. And I was like, oh man, I could have been with the people I was with, because they all went overseas, and I was like, God, I felt bummed out a little bit, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But then God didn't have that for me, so I was okay with it. So that was a long time to get to how I became saved.
Yeah, it's all good. It's part of the story,
right? And so, but that's exactly how it went down as far as being raised in the church. I can remember my grandmother. She sang a song with George Cleveland's choir. They cut an album. Will you be ready when he calls? And that song sticks in my head because I was maybe 5 years old when they actually cut the album. It was like, hey, look, it just stuck with me until to this day. And I'm so thankful that my aunt Larnay sent that over to me just to hear it on YouTube. It was pretty awesome. Will you be ready when he calls your name? Which means that, are you in Christ? Are you abiding in him? Or are you abiding in your own thing? You abiding in flesh? And so for me, that stuck with me. So like I said, being raised in church, I did have good teachers that teach me different things. At 19 years old, of course, I got poured into by several different preachers and whatnot, just trying to find the right ones to give me the message that made sense, to give me the meat of the word, not just the milk of it. You know what I mean? I got the grace. I got the grace understanding from the early part of a guy that last name starts with $, but before he got involved with some prosperity stuff, right? And he was amazing back then with just the grace aspect and how to walk in faith, because I didn't know how to walk in faith. I was walking in self,
yeah,
right? Because the whole word was about self-esteem, right? Uplift yourself. Take care of yourself. Take care of your people. Da 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 da. So anyway, that's how I became a young Christian, a young believer that was on a lot of milk but had understanding.
Okay.
I was getting understanding, right? And that's one thing that Scripture talks about. And all you're getting, get understanding.
Yep.
And the understanding helps you get the wisdom. So I don't want to preach because you keep telling me I preach too much, but.
No, please. No, I do not tell me preaches too much.
So Shawn,
we have to put clarity to that context. We all don't know. On Fridays, we have people do from the internship, and some of the workers, they do help with announcements. And we always joke that Shawn has a mini sermon before the sermon.
No.
Yeah. See, even Joseph's nodding his head. So it's good because it's his style, but he teaches really well because he teaches Wednesday nights.
Yes.
Here.
Yes, I do.
So no, preaching is fine. I just think it's funny.
And you know what's funny? As I don't mean to do that. It just
comes out that way. It
just comes that way, because I think the thing that most people miss, because if they come to Friday nights, we may not see them but one time, right?
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, well, remember our chief end as believers, as men and women of the Most High God, is that our chief end is to glorify Him. And people miss that because, again, it's not about you. It's not about you, boo.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Oh my gosh. All right. So 19, you're now following the Lord. Things are still a bit rough because your wife filed for divorce. She had an abortion without you knowing it. And then as time moves forward, you're still going to church. You're still growing in Christ. And at the time when all this happened, when you followed Christ, where were you living? What state was it?
I was still in California. So again, my mother being was hiding in the military from my dad, and we found ourselves out here in '81. So we stayed here.
Okay.
I'm still here.
Southern California?
Southern California, growing up in Carson, California. I went to Banning High School up there as well. And a lot of friends, a lot of young friends, a lot of young brothers. It's so funny growing up in 81, coming here in 81, seeing the drug culture take over. Very entertaining, very sad.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because you see brothers who were, had life ahead of them. They just let it go bye-bye.
Yeah.
And
so you grew up a huge chunk of your life here in California.
Yeah, I would say though, being an Army brat, we used to call home Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska, but then coming here, I've been here ever since.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so as you're moving forward and life's going on, when did you meet your current wife?
Pam. Yeah. So
when did you meet Pam?
I met Pamela. There's a big backstory behind that. So, in 89 through 92, I was a dancer. Hip hop dancer.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, you're good.
It's California, homie.
Hey, that's why I did the nice dramatical pause. Yeah, so hip hop dancer. We did shows and whatnot, but one of the people that Paul McGee, I don't know where he's at, but hopefully you're doing well, Paul. Had a girlfriend named Twiggy. And Twiggy, me and her became really good friends.
Okay.
And of course, through that, her friend was Pam.
Got it.
Right. And now Pam was dating somebody at this time, and Twiggy started dating somebody else at this time. And one day Twiggy said, "Hey, Shawn, I need you to do me a favor. I double booked." I'm like, "What's going on, Twig?" She goes, I got a friend named Pam, and she just had a surgery on her face. And I'm supposed to take care of her. I'm like, okay, sound like a you problem. But I said, but you're my friend, so I'll go ahead and I'll step in for you. And the funny thing is that I walk in, Pam got this nice gauze on her face, and I'm like, oh, okay. So again, it's funny, 89 to 90, we didn't have the technology that we have today.
Mm-hmm.
So of course I had she had that TV that went like this. I'm like, okay, listen, I want to watch BET. Is that okay?
That's what you said or she said?
I said that.
You said that.
Yeah, because, at the time, again, I was saved, but I'd had no wisdom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Saved, still working on sanctification. And so we're watching the BET Awards, and she goes into the room, and I'm like, wait a minute, the TV's going like this. Right? I'm like, hey, can you do me a favor? Can I come in and watch TV here with you? I promise you, I'm going to sit on the edge of the bed. I'm not here to do anything. I'm just here to be your nurse or triage, whatever you need. But I want to watch TV. You got me watching this TV just going like this, right? And if those who don't know,
the old school TVs did that. If you didn't have the right channel, old school TV.
If you didn't get the channel right, if it was not the what you call it, the bunny ears,
mm-hmm.
like this. So I'm not doing this. I feel like I was in jail. I'm not even joking. I feel like I'm locked up watching the TV in the yard where there's, and I've never been to jail, but that's not the point. The point is that's when I met her.
Okay.
That's exactly when I met her. And so, and the funny thing is when, when I'm watching BET on the edge of the bed, right? Cause she doesn't really know me. Her friend vouched for me.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'm watching BET, and I turn around like this, like she has the covers on her face like this. Please don't hurt me. I'm like, what is wrong with you right now? What is wrong with you right now? Right? And so we had a good time, and then what she did was she actually say, hey, I want to take you out just to say thank you, and we went to a movie and said thank you, like no big deal. And then later that year, Twiggy, Pam, and I went to go see a comedy show up in LA. And then I was going to go see somebody else who was going back to France, and she was going to go hang out with her friends or whatever, her church friends, whatever she was doing. And then all of a sudden we just started spending time together and courting, whatever. She knew I was going to school to become a doctor at the time. And doctor, whatever. Of course, we have ideas, but God has better ideas. Right?
Truth.
Right.
Truth.
And so, of course, I wasn't even looking at her like that at all, and I don't think she was looking at me that way either. But she invited me to her family's Thanksgiving in 90. Just to give you time frame, in 92. Yeah, 92. In 92, Thanksgiving 92, and her mother, Mrs. Brown, goes, "Pam, that's the man. That's your husband right there." It's like she's like, "Shawn," because the thing about me, I was only born in my family for 20 years. Right, my dad's side disappeared because my mom again was running away from my dad. Mm-hmm. So of course I know how women think, how women manipulate, how women, with the tears, da 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 da. Even though I just cried, but that's something totally different. But the big thing is I understand how women work. Uh-huh. Yeah, you're welcome. And so what ends up happening is I'm like, okay, that's fine. But she didn't tell of course, Pam didn't tell me that's what her mother said. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I'm like, and it's funny, she don't tell me a lot of things when I find out things later about her, because she's like me. She holds her tongue until God lets, okay, it's time to release what you need to release. So she tells me after we get married that, my mother-in-law said, "Oh yeah, we're going to, that's your husband." And so we go through our little stuff, and then of course we get married in 94, and we've been married ever since.
94.
Yeah. So
all right.
Yeah, 32 years in June 22nd.
Nice.
Of this year,
1994.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Very, very good. So, all right. So now, fast forward to today. Here you are at the Anchor.
Right.
And you're a board member. But prior to becoming a board member, and we did a little test run of things.
Okay, yeah.
That involved you, Joseph, David, Fabian, and Dennis.
Smooth brother D Nice.
And it was to see how the Joshuas would function. Mm-hmm. And we had you guys roll through it. And then as we saw it was going well, we decided to add the Deborahs in, and then who else wanted to try it. And it's normally a year-long internship. And for you guys, we're the first batch.
Right.
It was run differently because we put you through pastoral training first, and then some of the internship training.
Right.
So let me ask you this. I'm not gonna gear it the same way I would for the other interns. I'm gonna gear it more towards you because you've been doing stuff longer here. Obviously, you're a board member and you've been teaching on Wednesdays and filling in different spots and helping run the place. So let me ask you this. Looking at the ministry and looking at what you do in the ministry, what do you like most about the ministry?
Preparation.
Preparation?
100%. Preparation of spending time in God's presence and being able to utilize it. I think that's the most important part. A lot of people sit down and they listen to commentary about Christ. They listen to sermons about Christ.
You're talking about teaching preparation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, no. Well, it all goes together.
Okay.
It all goes together. So all the preparation parts for teaching, but that preparation starts. But you sit in the chair, the Bible in front of you, right? Because if you don't know the word, how can you actually live it? How can you actually express it? And so, in knowing the word, that preparation, I'm able to be ready for anything that comes my way. Right. And I think everyone should understand that part where as you start to read the word of God, you start to learn it, then eventually you start to love it. And then you start to live it. And in that preparation, I feel like I get closer and closer to the Father because I don't know what he's going to put in my path that day.
Right.
Right. And so that preparation, that's my favorite part about it because it gives me a lot more energy. Mm-hmm. And, and a lot of times the young guys, I'm like, dude, what's wrong with you guys? Dude, why you run around so much? Like, aren't you guys excited? Like, no, we're tired. You're not tired? Like, no, bro, I just know God geared me up to go to work. Let's go to work. You know what I'm saying? I mean, last time I checked, you don't work, you don't get to eat. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's true. True.
Brother gotta eat.
What do you think is the hardest part about doing the ministry?
People don't listen.
People don't listen?
Yeah, 100%.
Elaborate on that. Because I got stories that I could tell too.
Right. Dude, how much time we got? Yeah, bro. All right, I'll give you an example. So, a brother or sister comes to you and like, hey, I'm having this issue. Okay, well, tell me about the issue. Well, they'll say
X, Y, and Z.
X, Y, Z, exactly. My husband or my wife, or is having this, and I'm trying to deal with it. Okay, well, elaborate, right? And of course, you as a mentor or as someone that coaches, because I coach track and field, been coaching track and field for forever, and you try to get the kids to understand how they can navigate through everything as long as they slow down. And so, if I give someone some advice and they don't follow it, I'm like, dude, if you just would have listened today, a year from now, you'll not be in the same problem that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
But we all been there.
Oh yeah, I get it. I mean,
Right.
I've been through it was.
No, it's gonna be a different time.
No,
No,
it's never gonna be different. No.
It's not gonna be like you. That's your experience. Oh, bro.
Yeah, but to your question, the hard part, that's the hard part. When you see people going down a path that hey, listen, if you go left, you're going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
If you take a pause, for example, we have some young Marines and young women who don't know how to let things go and they take it personal. And when they realize, man, I should have listened to you, Shawn, I should listen to you, Levi, or I should listen to you, Joseph. And then I say, yeah, well, I'm not going to say I told you so, but I'm just going to say, well, okay, well, next time, exercise what I told you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because what I'm telling you to do is nothing that's different. For example, if I have someone saying, well, in my business, I'm trying to figure out if this God is in it. Like, well, how do you do that? How do you figure that out? Well, I've been praying. Okay, what's the fruit of it? The fruit of your prayer. Well, that looks like I'm going the right direction. But I said, okay, well, are you still trying to manage everything? It's like, for example, you told someone, stop trying to manage your life the way you want to and surrender it. Humble yourself and surrender it. And it's when people start to humble themselves, I'm happy because then you can see the fruit of it.
Right.
But when you see people who you told to humble themselves and let God walk with God with an open hand and be a good steward of his time that he's given you, be a good steward of his word that he's given you, be a good steward of the people he put in your life, right? In other words, don't come in from a prideful aspect. And what ends up happening is they don't listen and they still fall and stumble.
Yep.
And they fall and stumble. And it's like, okay. And, we have an old school saying, I don't know if you guys are a little bit younger than me, but, old school saying is a hard head makes for a soft behind. Which means that when you had a hard head at a young kid, you got your butt swatted, right?
Right.
I mean, like for real. So that belt that had the holes in it and whistled as it came to your buttocks. Or the best one is your grandfather goes, hey, Shawn, come here. Hey, Shawn, come here. Hey, Shawn, come here. Hey, Eric, Shawn, you didn't listen to me 3 times. Go get the switch off the tree. Oh, shoot.
Did you say, hey, Eric, Shawn?
Grandfather. Eric, Shawn, what do you mean?
I don't know. I thought you threw an extra name in there. I'm like, dang, your dad was in the mass punishment. Your grandpa was in mass punishment.
Go get the switch off the tree and don't pick a thin one.
That's old school, dude.
No, that's old school. So a hard head makes for a soft behind.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, when it came with that part of the ministry, that the hardest part is when people don't listen, and you see the struggle that they go through because they're fighting God.
Yeah.
Right. And, and for me, I'm like, Lord, I don't want to be that guy. What do you want me to do? Sometimes, and you have to grow.
Yeah.
You have to grow in that. So sometimes bumping your head against the Lord is good for you. Because one of my favorite guys in the Bible is Jonah. And the reason why is because Jonah knew the Lord.
Yep.
He goes, I will not go to Nineveh because they're going to repent and I want them all to die. Paraphrasing. Unalive them, whatever. But I don't know, whatever YouTube let me do. But anyway, so, and God was like, yeah, you're probably right, because they had a relationship. He had a relationship with the Father, and to see that he ran away from God, which he really didn't. How can you run away from God? Right? He thought he was running away from God, and then of course that story it's just a relationship that he had, And that's a relationship that I always want to have, where God is convening. I'm convening with the Lord and he's talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. Say, listen, if you humble yourself, you will start to have discernment of what the Lord is trying to tell you to do.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't do that.
Yep. It's true. It's true. It's true. Okay. So my next question for you is, we now have Sunday mornings going here. And we have kicked those off. How do you feel it's going? What do you think?
Oh, I think it's amazing. I think the fact that the Anchor has definitely become a light to Oceanside, downtown Oceanside,
Mm-hmm.
to where you have, before when we had the wall up, before, if you guys do know, if you don't know, we did a reconstruction project last year and took down a wall. And to me, it was a way of God opening people's eyes that he's here.
Yeah.
Right? His presence is here. The light, the truth, and the life is here. And I think for me, people are coming in and they're being blessed by the word that he has for them to hear.
Yeah.
So I think it's going really well. And with this growth, I mean, again, when I came here initially 3 years ago, what stuck with me when I came here was the teaching was rich, right? It wasn't that coming to the Anchor is not like coming to any other church. Like, wait, this is a church? This is whatever, when,
It's funny you bring that up, because I had some people ask when we were doing that first Sunday, are we moving the tables and putting chairs?
Right.
And I was like, no, the tables are staying.
They're staying.
Everything's staying the same. It's Sunday morning. It's going to be the service. There's going to be food, which there is. And for some people, it baffles them.
Yeah. In fact, I was taken back just a little bit. I was like, wait, this were all the guys that because I was teaching at the other church that I was at, and they were all talking about, hey, we're going to go to the Anchor. We're going to go to the Anchor. Then when you showed up at the Anchor, I was like, we showed up at where I was like, okay. And then you actually taught. I was like, okay, this guy with the goatee, he's preaching. Got it. Then I get here that Friday. I'm like, this brother in shorts? What are we doing right now? Might as well be wearing slides too. What are we doing? I mean, I understand it's Cali, but I understand Cali and Oceanside were two different places.
It wouldn't matter if it was Mobile, Alabama. I still wear shorts.
Right. And so I think when people walk into the Anchor, they see one thing my wife said when she first came here. She was like, whoa, this is fellowship. I was like, yeah, we're accountable to one another.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of bigger churches, you can hide from everyone. Right. No matter if you're sitting in the front, you can hide. Right. It's kind of like one of those old school things where you go, hey, how you doing, brother? Oh, I'm good. And you walk away.
Yep. Versus,
hey, brother, how you doing? I'm good. Let's talk about, you sure? Nah, something else. Let's sit down real quick.
Grab some food.
Yeah, let's grab some food. Let's sit down. This kind of sit together.
It's based out of Acts. It's the breaking of bread and fellowshipping.
And so when she saw the fellowship of the Anchor, she was like, wow, this is a good ministry. I says, yes. I says, it's not just the fellowship. It's not just the food that nourishes the body. It's the body being nourished by the word of God, because we're anchored into the Holy Spirit. And I think when people understand that part, to be anchored into the Holy Spirit is the thing that gives you confidence that you can approach the Father. Right.
Yep.
And so when I look at how it's going here at the Anchor, I think people are realizing that, well, there's life here.
Yeah.
There's truth here. Right. And I think that's the most important part, because I like what you said a few weeks ago. You talked about how it was a question. And the guy says, well, the Trinity, how does that work? And a few weeks ago, you said how, well, you know how your mom, you have a mom, right? You may have, if you're married, you may have some kids, and you may have a wife. You're three people.
Yeah,
but you're one person.
Yeah,
three functionalities.
Three persons, one. Yeah.
And later that day, I was talking to one of my friends, and they tried to get them to grasp the concept of what it means to be in the Trinity and what the Trinity actually means. I said, well, you know how you talk about being born again, and they're like, I'm not preaching. I'm just saying.
Bro, you keep saying that. It's fine. We're only busting your chops for the announcements. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
You make it sound like
bust my chops again about the announcements.
No. You make it sound like we're like, hey, you need to stop preaching right now,
stop
boy.
preaching right now, bro.
Hey, boy.
Come on, man. Let's go. Like, man, I'm on fire for the Lord. Let's go, man. Let's go. But anyway, so what ends up happening is I said, you know how they talk about being born again and how what does it actually mean to be born again? Right, because that born again phrase actually came across when Jimmy Carter was in office back in the day, and like, what does it mean to be born again? And what do you mean to be saved? It became very popular during that time frame.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, well, basically, it's like this: when you're born, you have a spirit, you have a soul, and you have a body, but your spirit is dead.
Right.
Right, your spirit is dead. So everything you do is derived off of your body and your flesh, your desires of the flesh and the body, and your soul becomes dark based off of that desire, and you keep feeding it and feeding it, right? And so you become just all about self,
right?
And so, but then you have that encounter with Christ, right? And then you get indwelt with the Holy Spirit. That spirit man starts to grow,
right?
And that flesh no longer has control over you because you're no longer in bondage to it. Yeah, you still have a body. But the body doesn't put you in a position where you're designed to go here, go there, where you shouldn't be going, or open the doors to the things you shouldn't open the door to, right?
That war inside.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And Paul talks about it.
Galatians.
Yeah, he talks about it. That we did a good study on that on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Just saying.
You taught to that.
Yeah, for sure did. And so, and then they got the pictures like, I'm no longer in control by my flesh, no longer controlled by the body and the desires of it. I'm now being in controlled by the Holy Spirit. And that truth is here at the Anchor, and people are hearing that, right? Because ultimately, when you talked about it a few weeks ago, it's like, whoa, okay, I remember that because that's something that we talk about all the time about being one with Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're one with your body, it's war, it's enmity with the Father,
mm-hmm.
right? And so ultimately, that's, to me, is a blessing because we get to see the growth, the transformation. Because you can be in church all day long and there's no transformation, years and years and years, no transformation. You have to examine yourself like Paul talks about.
Yep.
Like even, I can go before that. When he told Jacob, hey, go in your camp, right? And get all the idols out your camp. And before you go into the country I'm going to show you. I was like, whoa, wait. So God was saying, examine yourself a long time ago.
Yeah.
But you don't hear that at church. You don't hear in the churches of today. You don't hear about examining yourself, right? To be one with the Father, to walk in His ways, not our own. And so we get that message here at the Anchor. It's something that we talk about on Wednesday nights, something we talk about when the service men and women come in on Saturdays,
mm-hmm.
And of course we try to wait for the door to open to have that conversation. And I think that's a beautiful thing because ultimately, Sundays is going really well now where you're seeing everyone excited about what God is doing here at the Anchor. Because before, I remember a few weeks ago in the first service, we had people walking by. There was a little brother, young little brother. He looked in the window like, oh, they got food, Dad. Right? And I don't know if he picked up on that, but I did because, I'm part of that security team too. So. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, and I was like, hey, I try to wave this way. Come on in. It was during worship. I don't know if you remember that.
I saw it.
Yeah. And then the father was like, hey, come on. And then he passed by the window because before you couldn't look into the service.
Mm-hmm.
Walls down, right? When it comes down to Christ, the walls are down. And he was able to look in. It's like, whoa, what's going on in there? The people were praising and worshiping.
Yeah.
Right. It was a beautiful thing.
Yeah. It's, yeah, people, I noticed when I was teaching, people look inside whether it's Friday or Sunday, but I see it more on Sunday than Friday.
Right.
Because I think it's hard. They see more in because the light's on.
Correct.
Versus seeing the outside. The other thing I did notice too, with the Sunday worship was I was getting prepped and then I had to use the restroom. So I stepped out because our bathrooms are on the backside and stepped out. And you could hear all the singing outside the building.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you could hear it at the bagel shop. You could hear it on the street.
Really?
You could hear it in the parking lot down in the back. I was like, whoa.
Wow.
So I was like, that's pretty cool. I was like, so people know what's going on there.
Right.
I know there's been some resistance to it, but the Lord's been faithful in it. So we're just praying to see how this all
What
goes.
capacity? What do you mean?
The enemy's been, doing different things here and there to try to derail it. And then
he's busy, yeah.
you just roll with the punches that come with it. I have another question for you because something you said, I was curious. You said that when you were at the other ministry, which was the Rock Church, because when Diana was on, she talked about being there too. So it's not like it's a secret. When you were at the Rock Church and I had showed up to teach, do you remember what I taught on? Because I don't remember. I was outside, right?
It was both. So we're outside. We were sitting in a round table, just hanging out.
Was it during the summer?
It was during the summer, yeah.
Okay, because I remember I taught one time inside.
Yeah, you did.
And then one time outside.
Yeah, so you taught inside. So when I first met you, it was outside.
Okay.
And then I think later that year you taught. I was like, oh, I remember that guy. He's the guy I was sitting next to, and I was like, oh, he's a pastor? Like, Rod James, why didn't you tell me he was a pastor?
Because I don't go around as I'm a pastor.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
So, I don't like titles either. Because like I said, I do coach, and people are like, hey, coach, like, don't come coach.
I know people that they got their sweatshirts for their churches and stuff, and they'll have on the sweatshirt Pastor Todd. I don't like this stuff. Dude. I'm just Levi.
I'm just Shawn.
Yeah.
Just call me Shawn, right?
So
anyway, yeah. So I don't remember what you taught on because it's been many moons ago. That was a while. That was a minute. That was about a minute. So I don't remember what it was. It doesn't mean it was impactful. It just means that at the time I don't recall.
Okay, just curious. That was all. Yeah, I remember there was a couple of times meeting outside in the summer with that. So the Lord brought you this way. I'm grateful that you're here. You've been a blessing being here. It's been good. Exciting to see what's going to happen now. You're teaching on Wednesday nights. You're currently in the book of Amos. You taught through Galatians. What else have you taught through?
Mark, Daniel, James.
James, yeah.
James. Yeah. So I started with Mark because it's the easiest one to understand, and with this swipe culture and click culture. James is the best gospel as far as the culture is concerned, because you're able to, it's immediate. John is all about the glory of God, who Jesus is, which is amazing as well. But yeah.
And for you all watching online, if you're like, whoa, where can I find his teachings online? You're not going to. You're going to have to come in, because it's run more like a small group where they sit together and they go through the word. It's growing, but it hasn't grown to the point where in some cases where it's ready to be like its own service.
Right.
But it's there. And that's the beauty of what we're doing. We're just trusting the Lord. That's how Friday started. Friday started with 10 people meeting on a Friday, which grew into the building full and a service, and then into everything else. And then, just you keep going, we see what happens. But, it's pretty cool that you're here and everything that's happening. And now that you're on the board, and just, we're going to see what the Lord keeps doing 2026 for the Anchor and all these places. So, well, unless you want to have a shameless plug about the company you work for.
Shameless plug. It's not shameless if you invite me to plug it. So.
Okay, go for it, man. Shawn does work for a pest control company. Yes. He actually owns it.
Right. So just to tie it into ministry, what we do. So when I was younger, 20 something years old, again, I told the Lord, I says, listen, I want to be your hands and your feet. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to either be a doctor to work in emergency.
Dr. Coleman.
Yeah, Dr. Coleman, not for the title, just for the servitude, right? I said, or I would like to own my own company, if that's what you would have me do. So military didn't work out. I'm in school doing all the stuff that I'm doing for school, doing, I think I told Joseph about this. Or maybe it was David. And I couldn't understand the anatomy of a cat. I just couldn't figure it out. The muscles. Like, man, because they kind of correlate with our muscles and whatnot. Mm-hmm. God says, I don't have it for you. And so I'm like, okay. So I'm raising my kids, doing my thing. And during COVID, doing the vid, doing the vid, I had a dream, had a vision. I had a vision of a glass that was just washed, like a champagne glass or a wine glass, just washed, right? Just it's been used before, it's been washed. And what ended up happening is I saw wine, that's the purest wine ever. I don't drink, so I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do anything like that. And I'm like, what is this about? And it was rich. The wine was rich. I was like, wow, this looks pretty awesome. Then I came to you. He says, what do you think that means? And he goes, I don't know. You tell me, what does it mean? Typical counselor, right?
Do you feel it was from the Lord?
And that's exactly what you said. Do you feel it was from the Lord? And I was like, dude.
You were like, I feel like I'm not getting anywhere here. No, I'm just kidding.
Right? No doubt. And so what ended up happening is that right during COVID, right before COVID started, I had that vision. The company I was with was like, hey, look, we're going to start a company with you, And what ended up happening, I opened up a division of pest control, this other company. And right before the vid happened, March 12th, 2020, the world stopped. No, the world got blessed. How'd the world get blessed? God put his saints and his sons and daughters in a pasture where we can spend time with them. And he sifted the church. Right? Remember that? He sifted the church. Those who believed in him were going to be with him. Those who were playing church were going to do their own thing. So there were churches that had 3 services that went down to 1. They had some church that had 1 service that went down to none. Right? I mean, it's just because people were playing church. But what ended up happening was, remember, I had that vision right before I started the company, the other division. And so what ended up happening was 3 years later, well, during COVID, the world stopped. I couldn't function as with the state of government was moving so slowful to start that division in that company that I was like, wow, we're way behind the 8 ball because again, the world stopped. So what ended up happening is I hired a guy in that company that had a company called Available Termite and Pest Control, right? But he was not going to work in that capacity. And he goes, I'm like, well, I don't know if I want to hire you, but I'll hire you because you're going to do other things. He goes, yeah. He goes, well, what are you going to do with Available Termite? I said, well, I'm going to sell it. Like, are you serious? I said, wait, it's been open since 1997. But the functionality was definitely for single family homes, some apartments. And my function is definitely for HOAs. And we do apartments. We do single family homes, do a couple schools, but mostly primarily is HOAs. That's our market. And, so I let him stay on. Ruben Torres and his family. That's who I bought it from. Beautiful young old man, but I gotta say young old man because he's young, but he's old.
Okay.
And so anyway, what ends up happening is we worked in the same company for like 2 years, and my partner in the company who opened the pest control division, not Available pest control division with, he said, hey, we're gonna close the division because we're going somewhere else. Like, what do you mean? I said, I just hired 2 more guys. What are you talking about? We're just trying, you move a different direction. So Ruben had been let go like a month prior to, and he goes, hey, Shawn, you want to buy a company? I'm like, wait, what do you mean? He goes, well, I thought about you and, I was like, dude, you have no idea what just happened. I just had a conversation with my business partner, and he says we're closing this division down. Lord, right? And so what ends up happening is I take his company and I purchase his company. God allowed me to do that. And we've been open for 3 years. And basically what we do everything from large scale fumigations. We do everything from pest control, general pest control, bees, ants, rodents, bed bugs.
Anything that's a pest.
Except for 2-legged.
Stop it, bro.
Dude, I'm serious. Hey, except for 2-legged. Do we deal with them because of customer service? Yes, we do.
Oh my gosh, stop it.
But I try to give the word of God because sometimes people gotta understand where I'm coming from. But yeah, so that's what we do with everything like that.
Okay.
And you can reach me at 760-747-0336. Is available termite and pest control.
And what we'll do is we'll put your information in the description below.
Awesome.
So that way when people watch it, they can get to it and work with you. So
bro.
Thanks for being on the show.
Dude, it was short, man. I'm sorry.
No, it was short.
Because I have a testimony to go for ages.
Yeah. We have, I mean, it's good. We got to do 1 hour. And
yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah. Everybody got to learn how to do the testimony in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, 20, an hour.
Yeah, I remember you asked me about that. I was like, David, how can I put my life story in 5 minutes? There's no way.
Yes, you did.
I says, I was born, I met Christ. How are you doing?
I was born, I drowned, I met Jesus.
All right, that's
I'm alive. Yeah. No, yeah. You gotta learn how to do it because
100%.
some people don't have the attention span for it.
That's true.
Well, like it says, ready on the right, ready on the left. Always be ready for what the Lord has. Be ready for his return.
Amen.
And as we keep moving forward, I'm praying about what the rest of this will look like with Saved Rounds. I know there's Bible questions out there. I also know there's a lot of topics I want to hit and talk about. So we're going to keep tackling as we go along. And Joseph's always working really hard with these videos. And now that Sunday's rolling, he's even working harder because there's extra in there. And I can only imagine what would happen if Wednesday got bigger. So, but to be blessed, have a blessed week. And we hope to see you at either Sunday service or one of the Bible studies. But have a great day.